So the question of today is, was the trial of Lou Real conducted fairly? So I have 2 points. The first point is whether it was conducted fairly, and the second point will be whether it was conducted unfairly. So, the first point, the trial of Louis Real was normal and no different than any other trial or cases in that time period. Therefore, they use the same laws, same rules, and everything as well. And he was also given multiple ways to defend himself. He had even great lawyers at the time. They had the right to charge him with treason because there was evidence, also because he was the leader of a rebellion, which makes sense to me. And the other side is, the trial was held in English, but Louis Real spoke French, so he's at a bit of a disadvantage because that's not his main language. Therefore, he doesn't understand it as much. Another reason is the trial was held in Regina, where there was a less Métis population, which means he also had no support, and most of his people from the rebellion were also Métis. The jury was all Protestant and white, but Louis Real was Métis from Winnipeg, so they kind of had a bit of a bias against them there. Another point is, he couldn't properly defend himself because he was insane and not mentally stable, and there was different evidence to support that. Prime Minister Sir John A. Macdonald decided to charge him with high treason based on British law that was made in 1343 and not the Canadian. The reason there's a big difference between these two rules and laws is because with the British, you have the death penalty, and as with the Canadian, you do not have the death penalty. And I think he also wanted to make an example out of him because the Métis people were rebelling, and he had to find a way to send a message to make it clear. Well, to conclude everything, Louis Real had a lot of actions and things he did that were seen wrong, but they had good intention behind them because he was trying to stand up for his people who were the Métis, who were set out and looked at differently by the government. He is definitely a hero who fought for the right of his people and even got a Bill of Rights approved, although the process was very hard and tough and caused a lot of death, pain, suffering, and it also did not take overnight. But thinking about all the things that he's done, it seemed that he was right and he was not fairly tried, which means the executioner and everyone who was involved in his death were wrong. And with him, he has chosen and showed the way for the Métis people that they can still have power and they will not be walked over. And therefore, why his story and everything he did was for the right purpose and he was not tried fairly.